Hello. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you the basics of using a volumetric flask. A volumetric flask is a type of glassware that is used for preparing solutions. There are many different sizes of volumetric flasks. You will use flasks ranging from 25 milliliters to 250 milliliters. Before working with a volumetric flask, it is essential to make sure that goggles are on, that the flask has been inspected for any cracks, and, if necessary, gloves are used. If a flask or any other piece of glassware has visible cracks, it should be disposed of in the glass waste. A volumetric flask has a single opening at the top of the glassware. The calibration mark is located on the stem. Important information is recorded on the bulb of a volumetric flask, such as the volume contained in the flask, the uncertainty of the volume contained, and the class of glassware. Volumetric flasks are available as Class A or Class B. Class A glassware is more accurate versus Class B glassware. This flask is a Class A piece of glassware, as indicated by the letter A on the bulb. The letters TC stand for to contain. Volumetric flasks are designed to hold the volume indicated within the uncertainty range. After obtaining a volumetric flask, it is necessary to rinse it before preparing solutions. All cleaning and rinsing of flasks can take place at your lab bench or at a sink. After cleaning, rinse the flask 2 or 3 times with small quantities of DI water. DI water can be obtained from the white-handled faucets at each sink. After the flask has been rinsed with DI water, it is ready to be used to prepare a solution. You will mainly be using volumetric flasks to perform dilutions from a stock solution. Transfer the concentrated stock solution, usually by volumetric pipette, into the volumetric flask. Fill the volumetric flask with the appropriate solvent to just below the calibration mark. Cover the opening with a piece of parafilm and invert the solution several times to mix. Remove the parafilm, wait a few seconds, and then add more solvent. When the liquid is approaching the calibration mark, use a disposable pipette to add solvent dropwise. Due to the angle of the camera, it appears that the meniscus is above the calibration mark. The image above illustrates the proper position of the eyes when determining whether the bottom of the meniscus is at the calibration mark. Make sure that you are not viewing the meniscus at an angle. It is important that you take your time when bringing the solution to the final volume. If the solution goes over the calibration mark, you cannot simply take out the excess solution, as the concentration of the final solution is now altered. You will have to start over. Once the solution has been brought to volume, cover the opening with a new piece of parafilm and invert several times to mix thoroughly. At this point, you are able to use the solution. When recording the volume contained in a volumetric flask, always record to the hundredths place. Once you are finished with the solution, empty the flask into a waste beaker designated for the waste hood. Rinse your flask with a small quantity of tap water one time at your lab station and dispose of this rinse into the waste beaker designated for the waste hood. At this point, the remaining rinses of the flask can be performed at the sink or at your lab station, collecting the rinse water in a beaker designated for sink disposal. The final rinse should be performed using DI water. Thank you for viewing this tutorial. Prior to your first lab using volumetric flasks, record at least 3 reminders on how to clean and use a volumetric flask in the Instrument and Equipment section in your lab notebook. I'll see you all in lab.